Ymedia Group, the fastest growing media group in North America.
Welcome back to Ymedia Newsroom. Thank you for this quick break. Okay, so let's talk about what is happening in Alberta. Okay, so you have this separatist movement that's taking place. And so now Alberta moves closer to this date. And so this is very critical because Alberta is conservative heartland, and the leader of the Conservative Party and the official opposition leader is Pierre Poilievre, and now he is an Alberta area MP. If you recall, he lost his seat in the Ottawa area riding where he was an MP for about 20 years. He lost in the general election last year, and therefore in a by-election, he was able to get back into Parliament by becoming an MP in Alberta. And he said that he's going to have a campaign where he will essentially go around Alberta and make sure that it promotes staying in Canada. And this is very significant because this is a time where Canada needs unity. It's going into CUSMA review in just a few weeks. And then there's these massive plans to make Canada into what would be a global player when it comes to energy, when it comes to critical minerals, when it comes to many different strategies that we're seeing from the federal government and also what we're hearing from the provincial governments, with the premiers having these massive plans for projects, infrastructure, pipelines. So this is a massive time, and therefore unity is of the highest concern. So now you have these federal MPs from Alberta. They say that they're preparing for what could become one of the most important political conversations in a generation. And you have members of the parliament from different parties acknowledging that the frustration in Ottawa is real for Albertans. So no longer just ignoring Albertans on what they consider as Western alienation, but they argue that this is a time where they need to bring Canada together, and saying that the real answer is not reforming Confederation and not leaving it, essentially making it work for Albertans. So now the debate is expected to intensify throughout the summer months as Albertans weigh economic grievances, political policies, and national unity. So this referendum question on Alberta separation could appear on the provincial ballot later this year if legal and procedural requirements are met. So now you have this growing frustration over energy, policy, equalization payments, federal regulations, and Alberta's relationship with Ottawa. The discussion comes at a time where you're going to have broader debates over pipelines. You have this massive move on extending pipelines, making sure that the pipelines from Alberta go through BC to the Pacific Asian markets. And at the time where you're seeing this federal provincial relationship, somehow getting closer and warmer. And not to mention that Prime Minister Mark Carney, he was actually raised in Alberta. Even though he was born in Northwest Territories, he was raised in Alberta. So, it's quite historic, that deal that they assigned with Premier Smith and Prime Minister Mark Carney, but yet this momentum hasn't slowed down. So while, there is this movement that's happening, it's showing that the supporters of the separation movement from Alberta, separating from Canada, has increased in recent years, but polling, is continuously showing that a majority of Albertans prefer to remain in Canada. So recent polling shows that support for separation generally ranges between 21% to 31%. It was the same percentages even compared to last year. And you have the opposition to separation ranging from anywhere from roughly 62% or 72%. And this is over most major polls. And that's exactly kind of the average. One Angus Reid survey showed 65% of Albertans would vote to remain in Canada versus 29% said that they would support a separation from the rest of Canada. So you have Alberta is, home to 5 million people, and it remains Canada's largest oil producing province. But this is a growing concern where you're seeing that this separation movement was initially a fringe political discussion and movement, and now it's growing to a broader scale, given that Premier Smith is now holding a referendum on it. So now you have federal MPs that are saying that they're going to openly prepare for conversations about separation and sharing how serious the issue is. And they're going to spend the summer months really holding these open forums and debates and talking to their constituents about Alberta's economy and what it means about being part of Canada and what a separatist argument would be when it comes to the impact on Alberta as well as Canada. So this is significant because you have, this momentum that the MPs do have to react and have to be able to work with Albertans to have their voices heard. The referendum date is set, and of course, we're going to bring you the latest as this story evolves.